at my shop. Got this. Hope I get the cards prepared for this day. One time. Breathe.
You never know when your time is going to come. To rise above the rest. To seize the opportunity. To be crowned a champion. Is it time for your story to be told? The World Poker Tour.
Well, hello everybody. I am Matt Savage and I'm joined here by the always professional Tony Dunst. And we are here at the WPT Online Borgata Poker Open powered by the Party Poker US Network. And we're at the final table. And before we get started, how about a few words from the legend himself, Mr. Vince Van Patten.
Hello players and welcome to the $1 million guaranteed WPT Online Borgata Poker Open brought to you by Party Poker US Network. This is only the second time ever that we've had a WPT main event online in the United States. Now the player will have points going to the Player of the Year race, but along with that, you'll have the great honor of having your name etched on the Mike Sexton WPT Champions Cup. So good luck players, a lot of money at stake. Let's shuffle up a deal!
Well, thank you, Vince. We started with 305 entries and we're down to the final 8. And we'll start off by giving you the chip counts. In seat number 1, he's a chip leader. He is starting with 58.1 million. It's Daniel Buzzgun Lynod, which is Daniel spelled back. In seat number 2, we have Ryan Connor, the Sim, 25.8 million. In seat number 3, Bet. He's got 42.9 million. In seat number 4, Orson Young, he is Borgata. He comes in with 59.6 million, second in chip. In seat number 5 is CNCLY with 27.6 million. In seat number 6, we have Fitzroy Pooh, who has 45.2 million. In seat number 7, it's just Liberto with 39.6 million. And in seat number 8, rounding out the final table, he's got 16 million, comes in as a short stack. Tony, what do you think about this final table?
No, first off, it's good to be here with you, Matt. We have a pretty familiar final table to me tonight. A lot of the American regulars in the online scene and some guys that we see pretty often in our live WPT events, in particular out at the Borgata. Dan Buzzgun really does feel like the man to beat tonight, coming in with the chip lead, the most experience, making his 4th WPT final table. So I do, of course, like Dan's chances very much. Ryan Honor, experienced player from the East Coast, has nearly $700,000 in cashes on his Hendon Mob, and a guy I mix it up with online pretty regularly. And then Orson Young, a very aggressive player, just under $800,000 in live earnings, looking for his first 6-figure score tonight, and has a chance if he finishes in the top 3.
And there you take a look at the prize pool. I believe the prize pool is $195,747 for first. But I could be wrong. But all these players are in the money. They've got part of my buy-in in there too, Tony. I played this event not for very long. I was the 4th one out.
Well, I was hoping to commentate your final table, but I can settle for commentating with you tonight. So let's get underway.
All right, we're starting at 500,000 and $1 million. And Justin Liberto with the ace queen in the small blind.
Nice spot to be in. Just Liberto could potentially limp or raise in this spot. In the 15 to 25-ish blind range, you actually do a lot of limping with ace queen and ace king in the small blind as a trap. However, the suited versions do a bit more raising, and we see Liberto make it 3 million here.
Do you respect Wood with the same spades, but 10-8? He's coming in as a short stack.
Yeah, coming in this a short stack, but certainly not urgent at 17 blinds and with a really nice hand to take a flop with. I don't believe really the kind of hand that wants to move in pre-flop when you can see the flop in position here. So he makes the call. Both players flopping a pair. Liberto, top pair. Respect Wood, middle pair. And facing this bet of 1.8 million. Wood makes the call. Little bit of an action killer on that turn. Neither player holding a heart. Liberto may feel that his hand is so good and strong and wanting in protection that he should just continue betting, and should he get shoved on, he'll just sort of shrug and call and hope he doesn't run into a flush. But no, he does elect to check. And I would assume that Respect Wood will check back here, but I can't say that with certainty.
He does check.
Interesting river card. One that makes me think Liberto will choose a big sizing on this river. It might be, close to full pot. He might shove. And Wood is going to be in a dicey situation facing that bet. Let's see what Liberto does. And it is all in.
Ooh.
Oh boy. Decision
So
time for Wood.
Do here.
I think if I were in Wood's shoes and I wanted to call with a 10, I would strongly prefer to have a heart in my hand to block the turned flushes that Liberto could be holding. I don't think it would be the craziest call ever, but I think it would be a little bit optimistic since many of the aces in Liberto's range will check that flush completing turn, but not an easy situation for Wood here. Let's see what he does. Yeah, this is his tournament life. As you said, it came in as the short stack, but were he to fold, he'd still have 13 blinds. It's just a matter of, does he believe Liberto is
The
making a play
ace on the river makes him think this hand's better, right? Is that not correct? No, he does make the call.
Oof, ouch. And just like that, we lose our first player on the first hand, Matt.
Wow. Well, just Liberto picks up a nice little pot there for the first hand. And Do You Respect Wood picks up 24,625. Not a bad couple days work there, but not what he had hoped for when he started the final table.
No, it's always a little anticlimactic to make a final table and then bust out immediately or close to immediately. You have an entire night to get your hopes up and look at this payout and say, oh, I'm going to take home 6 figures. I'm going to get my name on the Mike Sexton Champions Cup. And instead, it's all over in 3 minutes.
When you come in as a short stack, though, Tony, don't you feel like you need to make a move early? But in this spot, probably
well,
not,
it depends
right?
how short you are. I think at 17 blinds, the urgency isn't that high. But I can see why he made that call there. I don't think it's some insane call. I do think it's probably a little thin without a heart in your hand. But perhaps he had reason to believe that Liberto would bluff a lot in that situation. So this time, Liberto with the button folds. Dan Buskin takes a walk with Jack 10. And we're on to the next one.
And the blinds have gone up. We're now at 600,000, 1.2 million, or 12,000 K, as you see on the board. Started with $1 million in chips in this tournament, so we had a lot of play up front. It was an interesting event. It didn't last long for me, but I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to you about my hand in that spot. Did you read the hand that I had? Was I supposed to make that call?
I did not, and I'd love to hear about it right after this one because I'm very curious whether Ryan will reshove over Justin's button raise. Ace-9 is the borderline hand for reshoving an ace for value here. It's strange. The aces that get shoved in this spot are a lot of like Ace-9 or Ace-10 and above, and then like Ace-Deuce through Ace-4 or 5, and then the middling aces often get called. So Ace-9 is right at that cutoff, and there we see Honor does make the move in, and Liberto, with a close decision himself, holding King-Queen, elects to fold, and under ICM, I think I like his fold. I wouldn't be making that fold in his shoes under normal chip accumulating circumstances, but at this final table and facing a shove for 40% of his stack in a spot where, he's basically like hoping to be flipping-ish, I think that's a nice disciplined fold from Liberto.
And it doesn't make a difference about the last hand that he had just won a big one, huh?
No, each hand is its own independent situation, but of course, sometimes your emotions from one hand can spill over into the next or the next several hands. However, I have reason to believe that Liberto is a professional and quite an experienced one. So there, I think he showed that he did not get carried away with that momentum. There wasn't, I won the last one and I've got King Queen and this is pretty close and let's try and beat chip leader. And I like the discipline. So he actually has another decision here.
I told you, Tony, it's like me. It's like, I'm hot. I'm on a rush. I'm an amateur player. So I think I'm on fire there, pick up that King Queen on the button right after that. Exactly.
You're like, I'm going to go 2 for 2. Liberto here, making a little bit of a wide open with ace-5 on the hijack, but I think these opens play well at final tables when you're among the chip leaders. He's basically tied for chip lead with Dan Busgun. Dan, a very savvy player who he will give Liberto a little bit of trouble on his left, but I also don't think he's going to go crazy trying to make Liberto's life hard. And when you're one of the chip leaders, you get to open wider at final tables, especially when the stacks behind you aren't that likely to just shove over the top. So I like the wide open from Liberto's. Playing tough so far. Now bet is going to open. And CNC also has an ICM or a pay ladder influence decision here. Just for chips, you would always call. Under ICM as one of the middling stacks, you actually want to play much tighter out of the big blind, in particular with hands that, are connecting but lower or suited and lower, and you're really just hoping to make a draw, and then maybe take it down with aggressive play, or by calling once or twice and then making your hand under ICM, which is the payout ladder pressure that you face at a final table. You want to switch your strategy to calling with high card hands that can make top pair more than those middling hands. So I think that was a good adjustment from CNC to fold the 9-7 there.
Orson with 9s here.
A similar dynamic plays out here where strictly for chips, I think that Orson would 3-bet or shove. Under ICM, I'm not so sure. And he did elect to 3-bet. And I think that's fine, but it's also dicey at times. And he does get the fold from bet with Queen Jack.
He's got, look at that. Who's here. Hi, Lynn.
New member in the booth. Unfortunately, her microphone is...
You're on mute.
I think you got to check your settings there and switch your microphone to whatever is the one that you're intending to use, as I found out before the broadcast, so I can't hear you for now.
Thanks, Tony.
Better.
Watching me live on it. Look at that team.
There she is. Hi, Mama. How are you doing?
It still feels so weird to hear that. Yes, I am a mama. I'm doing good. Doing good. The baby is 11 weeks old tomorrow, 2.5 months in, and now I feel like I'm finally like resurfacing back in the world again.
Well, I'm sure you're getting plenty of sleep. We got a flush draw here, Tony, for Justin Liberto
We do.
with the Jack 10-6 board and 2 diamonds.
He drills that flush on the turn. In the last hand, I talked about how the medium and shorter stacks need to avoid these more speculative hands out of the big blind pre-flop. But the larger stacks do get to speculate with those hands. So while I liked the fold from the 9-7 previously, I like the call from Liberto holding 8-5 of diamonds here, and now he's going to be able to take this pot down from CNC with the turn flush.
And he did. Nice hand there from Justin. So, Lynn, what's been going on? I mean, obviously you've been busy. We know that. A couple movies come out, even on a crazy schedule, in addition to having a child.
Yeah, it has been a wild year. The film industry is booming in Australia. That's something that has unexpectedly come out of COVID. I've been working on some projects. Yeah, while I was pregnant, I worked on a couple of shows and some films. I have a movie on Netflix at the moment called This Little Love of Mine. So if you haven't watched it already, I know the stream team have so kindly watched it, but if you haven't watched it, go and look it up.
We have watched it. Yes, we have. Great movie. I like it. And you're great in it, of course.
Thank you. It's a sweet little rom-com to escape into. And, filming that was probably the best time to do so, because it was, June last year while the world was just in chaos. So we just escaped into paradise for 5 weeks to film just a little fun love story and hide away from the world. So that will always be a very special film for me because it just helped us switch off when we needed it most.
Yeah, you kind of stole the show there, Lynn. I got to be honest. All right, we got a hand here developing. King, Queen versus Ace 10 of clubs. And a 7-6-4 on the flop. 2 hearts. Orson does have that King of Hearts.
He does. And I think this is a flop where he'll mix betting and checking. This is a board that really favors the big blind, but having the King of Hearts in your hand is nice for the purposes of getting folds immediately. And I really like how Orson has sized his bet here. He's sized up on the flop, which makes calling with, one pair or gut shot type hands really tricky for Ryan out of the big blind. So a well-sized bet from Orson will take down that pot.
Very nice. See Katie Stone's in the chat and Melissa Burberry, some of the Borgata regulars here. Borgata Team Pro. Katie Stone is here.
Herb is asking what time it is where I am. It's 10 a.m. here. I'm on the Gold Coast in Australia. Oh, okay. So good morning.
Good day.
G'day. Oh, yeah. Wow. Hey, guess what? Can you believe? So actually, right as we were going live, I was texting with my parents. There was an earthquake in Melbourne. What is going on in the world?
What?
I didn't even think Melbourne had. 6.0.
How big of an
earthquake?
Whoa!
I know. Melbourne isn't capable of having earthquakes as far as I knew. So the whole city is shaken up, literally, because no one understands how that happened. No one knows how to react. We're not prepared as Aussies for earthquakes. Wow. So wild.
Are people okay?
Yeah, I don't think there is too. Well, I'm not sure. It just happened, right as we, 15 minutes ago. But yeah, crazy.
I will divert for just a moment as we see a setup hand occurring here. Dan Buskin opens the cutoff with Queen Jack suited. I believe that Ryan Honor is going to move all in on the button with Ace Queen, holding just 18 blinds. And I would be surprised if Orson Young doesn't take him up on that all in with pocket jacks in the big blind. And as we know, Ryan will be drawing to 1 queen and 3 aces. One of his outs are dead.
So Tony, why is he only 3-betting to that amount instead of moving all in? What's the reasoning behind that?
I believe it's because if there are multiple all-ins behind him, he can fold and give himself the opportunity to move up the pay ladder. But he's basically committing himself with the intention of calling off under almost all circumstances. So he does make the call after Orson moves all in. A queen would no longer be good, as it would give Orson a straight. So an ace or only an ace will save Ryan on the river.
Or a 7
No,
river
sir.
for a straight. Oh, that is not going to be good. King on the river. And we're going to lose another one. Ryan Honor has been eliminated. He's our 7th place finisher. And with that 7th place finish, he's going to take home $34,475. A nice little payday, but not what you'd hope for.
Well, I was saying before the broadcast, I was a little surprised looking at Orson Young's Hendon Mob that he doesn't have a 6-figure score yet. Now, it's of course possible he has one online in a place that we're not tracking, but certainly for live results, for a guy who I think performs really well in live events and has a tough game, now with 70 blinds at our final table, looking good to get a top 3 finish and a 6-figure score.
Now Fitzroy's opened to 3 million with his ace queen.
Savage, I saw that you hit the green, not the felt. What do you call it when you go golfing? You went with Dan Buzzgone. Someone actually is good enough to challenge you properly in the field.
He's much better than me on the golf course. That's what we call it. Yes, he's a much better golfer than me. Yes, he's almost a professional golfer. In addition to winning a lot of money tonight, so hopefully the goal here is he makes a lot of money today and then comes plays golf with me. That's the goal.
That's the hope. I do believe CNC will be all in here with ace-5 suited with 15 blinds out of the small against a button open from Orson. And that should drive Fitzroy Pooh's pocket 3s out of this pot. Whoa, he folded. My goodness, that is a tight fold. And I have to say, not one I am a big fan of. I think that's a missed opportunity. So Fitzroy makes the call on the big blind with 3s and gets a dynamic coordinated flop on 8, 9, 10. One that I think that Orson will go ahead and represent with a bet, as this board does tend to favor the pre-flop raiser. And that's enough to drive out the pocket 3s from Fitzroy. So CNC with that fold conveys that their intention may be to play a more snug attempt to ladder up our payouts type strategy here, because it's not as though there's anybody else around this final table that's short, and they could hope that just licensing a few more hands allows them to ladder. That was a very snug and surprising fold.
Buzzgun raises with his ace 10 to 2.6 million, and he'll take this one down.
Savage, are you still at Borgata?
I am sitting in the Borgata room here with this fine art behind me. Yes, I am. And yesterday, got a chance to get out. We went up to New York and saw the World Trade Center Memorial and the Statue of Liberty and stuff with Marianne. So that was a good day. So a lot of stuff to do here at Borgata. We're looking forward to, and we can have some live poker here as well. But in the meantime, these online events have been great as well. So we don't have a lot of events happening online for main tours for people to get their name on the Mike Sexton Champions Cup. But this is one of those rare opportunities. So it's a big deal for these guys to join that club, the elite club of the World Poker Tour Champions Club, which Tony Dunst is a member of.
Mm-hmm.
Very proud of Tony Dunst.
Yes, good club to be a member of, and somebody tonight will be joining it for the first time. We've got a pot brewing between Bet and Orson Young. Bet open pocket nines first to act. Orson applied some pressure by 3-betting queen 10 suited right behind, and after bet called with the nines, is now facing a small continuation bet from Orson, who has outflopped him with a queen.
And will win the pot. 9.4 million in that pot, and Orson Young, our chip leader, increases his chip lead.
CNC here with the ace-9 of clubs has a hand that should open. Some players would open shove around these 15 blind stacks, but I don't, I was going to say, I don't think the hand is quite good enough for that kind of thing in this situation, and it's likely to backfire here as just Liberto wakes up with ace-king on the button. So I do think that, jamming around that 15 blind stack makes a lot of sense with some of the suited broadways or maybe some of the ace wheels. But the ace-9 doesn't feel like exactly the right type of hand. And so now CNC at risk of elimination, but flops top 2 there on ace-9-4. And so takes the lead in this crucial pot. Oh, king on the turn. Goodness. Liberto recaptures the lead. CNC needs one of the 2 remaining nines. Not going to do it. And just like that, they were down to 5.
Wow.
They call that suck and resuck. And there you go. We have a 6th place finisher. That CNCLY takes home $47,280. Next up, 5th place gets $61,070. The action is fast and furious, Tony. These players are getting deeper and deeper, though. So, what happened?
Lynn shows up and all hell breaks loose.
Bringing the entertainment, guys.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
That's the way it always goes. So have you been getting a lot of sleep, Lynn?
You're a funny man, aren't you, Savage? Asking rhetorical questions. Sleep. I forgot what that feels like. I somehow can deal with it better. Unfortunately, Angel does not deal with little sleep very well.
I have a less rhetorical question. What has surprised you most early in motherhood?
Ooh. What has surprised me most? I'd say the feeling, there's like this strange feeling. I was just talking to Angel about this yesterday, and I don't want to like romanticize it too much. But like there's this little human that I've only known for 11 weeks, but you do have this feeling of just like a complete knowing. It's odd. Like it must be like this physical connection. Like I'm getting to know this human, but I feel like I've always known him. And that has really taken me by surprise. It's just like kind of like he's always been there in my life, even though he hasn't. I just forget I can't believe that there was a time in my life that he wasn't there. That's been, that's been over. It's also just very, very overwhelming. The first month is like a freight train hit you. That was just, oh my God. And no one warns you. Yeah.
Angel's supposed to take care of things during the first month. I think that's the way it's supposed to go. I know I did. Yeah, Marianne's over there saying, no, you didn't. That's not
Yeah,
true.
right. You did, Savage.
I know. I cleaned the first diaper. That I can tell you for sure. I did change the first diaper. I hope you made Angel do that.
Just the first one. He did. He's actually been amazing. He's an amazing father. I'm so proud of him.
Of course. Didn't expect anything less. All right, we got top pair here. Fitzroy-Pooh with King Jack on a King 8 deuce flop and an 8 turn. Does check turn.
Yeah, that turn, always an action killer, not one that Liberto will bet very frequently at all. And with a heart on the river, I think we could maybe see a block bet from Fitzroy Pooh, but it also wouldn't stun me to see him just check and use his hand as a bluff catcher, and that is what Fitzroy elects to do. I don't really think that Liberto is going to take him up on it, and yeah, he does check behind. There will certainly be some hands that Liberto has that elect to bluff there, so I do like the play from Fitzroy to mix in checks on that river, but Liberto with an ace high would be bluffing too frequently if he tried to bluff his way out every time he got there with that hand.
Johnny Unlucky asked if Daniel Negreanu was in this tournament or Phil Helmuth, and they were not. They were not in this tournament. You had to be in New Jersey, the state of New Jersey, to play this event, so they were not. It was a great event, 150 satellite winners. I really look forward to coming back out here playing again. It was really an awesome field, and some people got in through lucky spins and through promotional seats, so it was a great tournament. You missed a good one, Tony.
Yeah, I was sorry to miss it. We had some conflicts going on with the World Poker Tour, but I will be out on the East Coast in about a week for our charity event as we see this pot developing between Bet and Orson. Bet opened a7 of clubs on the cutoff. Orson flatted pocket twos. A little bit of an interesting spot for Bet on the flop. He has a hand that could play as either a bet or a check, and seeing as he can't get twos to fold with a bet, I think I would lean towards checking in his shoes, as he has a hand that can either check call or every now and then check raise quite effectively. Instead, by betting the flop, you get into this murky situation on the turn, but Bet continues barreling this turn, and I think this is going to work out for him nicely. Orson in a bind with the deuces.
It does work. And he did his name. He bet, and it worked. It worked this time. Katie Stone is here. She says she loves the baby pics, Lynn.
Ah, thanks,
and
Katie.
Melissa Burberry says, hello, love, or hey, love. Rabbi's here too. We got a star-studded Twitch stream chat, along with all of our favorites on the stream team there as well.
I love it.
Very good.
Hi, everyone.
You can see Lynn did her hair especially for today. Lynn, that's so awesome. Where'd you find the time? Where did you find the time to do your hair?
Stop it, Savage. Are you suggesting my hair does not look good? Shall I brush it while we're on the stream?
I said it looks great. I said, where did you find the time?
Way to troll my hair. A new mum, that's just bullying. I'm lucky to get a shirt on these days.
Is here. All right. You still look better than us. That's all I can say. There's no doubt about that. Although Tony's pretty. Tony is pretty as well.
Yeah, I comb my hair for this. Right. Come on, Matt. Give me a little credit over here. Lynn's not the only one. All right, Dan Buskin with an effective. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just going to comb my hair for the rest of the stream now. Savage,
you're just going to Rapunzel over there. Buskin limping in with Queen 5 in the small blind. Bet. Checks behind with King 6 in the big, and flops Gin on 6-3-6. Buskin with a hand that has just a little piece here, and he may even continue against a small bet since his queen high could be good and his 5 connects with the 6-3-6 texture in a way that gives him backdoor outs to a straight. But it's, it's murky being out of position here. So yeah, not too surprised to see Dan just pass, and he'll be very happy if he happens to catch that one on the stream later on, as he avoided the trips of bet.
So Spewed Laser has asked why we don't have everybody's real names. Well, that is up to the player to decide if they would like their real name up there. And try and reach out to the players, see if they'd like their name up there, and if they don't want it up there, we don't show it, we don't say it. So it's up to you to figure it out if you know who these players are, and some of you do. So.
Well, guys, I've just been given the word that Darren Elias is standing by. He's going to join you soon. So I'm going to bounce.
Who's that? Who's Darren Elias?
Some
We
bloke
need
who
more
likes to just enter our events occasionally.
And wins almost every other one. Yeah.
Whoa.
What happened there? What happened there?
Whoa, look at this. Fitzroy Pooh opens and then folds tens to a 3-bet. Hijack versus button. Dan Buskin, 3-betting ace-4, really gets away with one there. A snug fold from Fitzroy. And as it turns out, a misread on Buskin's 3-betting tendencies.
Wow. All right.
And again, it goes to show how effective aggression is as the larger chip stack at a final table when the incentive on the medium stacks is to move up that ladder. So if these guys were 40 players left in the tournament, you would never see Fitzroy Pooh fold tens there. But 5 left, you start to think maybe I could pass this hand and wait for a better one.
Wow.
All right, I'm bouncing, guys. Thank you so much, everyone.
Oh,
So
yeah,
good to
thanks for
see the
coming by.
stream teamers.
Great to see you, Lynn.
Good to see you, Len.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Sevens and king queen now.
And based on what we just saw, I think Dan Buskin is going to stick it in his eye for an all-in here. These small middle pairs, generally 25-ish blinds deep, jam over button raises. And as the chip leader facing off against a medium stack, I think you'd want to do that even more than normal. So action on Dan, and yep, he is all in. Fitzroy forced to fold king queen.
Wow. Good call, Tony. So far, so good on your predictions. 700,000 and 1,400,000 K. Yes.
I do play with Dan Buskin all the time. I have a ton of respect for his game, and have thought about how to play against Dan Buskin enough that I at least have some sense of what he's likely to do in these situations. But Dan, one of the best young players in our game, and now bet, the one jamming over a Fitzroy Pooh cutoff open, this time with pocket tens out of the big blind. So Fitzroy having a tough time here since making that pocket tens fold against Dan Buskin, and likely to open the third hand in a row with King Jack now on the hijack. I do believe that Orson will just call in the big blind. I don't think this is quite the right type of hand to jam over a hijack raise here, but I've been wrong before.
Does seeing the last few hands players do that to him change your opinion maybe? Could Fitzroy now be getting a little frustrated with folding these hands? Who knows?
Yeah, it's tough to say without knowing much about Fitzroy's experience level. It's possible that he thinks back on those pocket tens and is like, geez, everyone's just going to rip it on me all the time. I wish I could take that one back and move in over the top myself there, but I can't say for certain. Here, he flops a gut shot. Orson with an overcard and a club flush draw has his options open on this flop. Could take it a lot of different ways and elects to go with the check raise for about half of Fitzroy's stack. And that's going to be all she wrote for Fitzroy in this hand. Orson continues his aggressive trends here and stacking up chips. Well, no lack of action so far, Matt Savage, as we see pocket queens for bet on the button. 3 quick eliminations, and bring in the man himself, 4-time WPT champion winner, Darren Elias. Welcome.
Hey, Darren.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Not much. Happy to be here, ready to watch some poker.
I bet you wish you were on the final table instead, but you did you cash in this event?
I did not, Matt. Did you?
No. Yeah, no, I did not. I did not.
Yeah. Let's check.
I didn't. I'm gonna give you my hand here in a second. I'm gonna see what you guys would have done.
Mm-hmm.
Although I know what you would have done, Darren, because the reentry period was still open.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be so
But
sure.
maybe
So
you
looks like
would've
we're down to 5-handed here.
Yep.
Yeah, it
5
didn't take
players
long.
remaining.
We've had 3 eliminations in 40 minutes. And look at this. We could even have
This is
another
gonna
one
be-
this hand.
Wow.
This is going to be interesting.
So Dan Buskin with bottom set on Jack 4 deuce. Liberto, top pair, second kicker. And a board where there are going to be some potentially missed draws going forward in the hand. So if this board were to stay jack high and miss the spades, Liberto will be on the hook for a big pot. Let's see what happens on the turn. An 8 of spades may save Liberto some money.
It's possible. Yeah, I expect Liberto just to call here with ICM, and he's going to have a tough decision on the river. He faces another bet here.
Buskin, not likely to slow down with bottom set. And a redraw to the spades. Both these players deep enough that if Buskin wants to get stacks in, he will need to do the betting himself on the turn. And so it's 6.4 million over to Liberto in the big blind. Does make the call. And an 8 on the river will make Dan Buskin feel very good about his now full house. And he may even go for the very big sizing here with the possibility that he has coolered one of the many flush possibilities for Liberto in the big blind. What do you think, Darren? Will he go huge?
I don't think he'll go huge. I would expect 2/3, 3/4 or something out of Dan. Liberto's got a tough decision. He doesn't have a spade in his hand, just kind of has a bluff catcher. Dan's not going to be value betting queen jack here or worse. So I would expect 15, 20 million, and Liberto's going to have a really tough decision here. I think if he bets 30 million or something crazy, Liberto will probably fold, 20 million.
Yeah, you are right on the sizing. About 80% pot for 20 million. Buskin over to Liberto. This would be over 1/3 of his remaining chips were he to call. Decision now on Liberto for the biggest pot of our final table.
Yeah, this is a tough one. And you'd like to have a spade in your hand here. If you're bluff catching, Busgon's value range here is going to be full houses and flushes. You block jacks, which is nice, but you'd probably rather have a hand like Jack 10 with a spade, Jack 9 with a spade, or something if you're really bluff catching. So if you can find a fold here, I'd be impressed.
Not seeing the time clock, but it's obviously on.
Well done. There.
Yeah, nice
Let's get
fold
away
from
from it.
Liberto there. Avoids calamity on the river. Dan Buskin with the full house. Stacks that one up and draws closer to chip leader Orson Young. Now, Liberto and Buskin to face off again in the blinds here with 2 very playable hands.
Great to see 2 Borgata regulars, Orson and Dan, at the final table here. I guess it's fitting in a New Jersey tournament, but these guys have been playing Borgata for 10 years plus. So it's good to see the locals doing well.
Now, Liberto, being mindful of the ICM, as you talked about before, limping in ace-queen in a spot where players would often mix raising and limping. Not surprising to see him leaning towards the limps, is it, Darren?
Yeah, anytime you're at an ICM disadvantage, you're gonna limp along the small blind, and it'll be interesting to see if he raises here or just calls. He has a strong enough hand where he could certainly just send it in, even for 40 blinds. So we'll see what he does here.
He's going to limp re-raise. I would have expected a
Interesting.
shove if he was going to go with the limp re-raise as opposed to this move, but perhaps he thinks there is some value in trying to induce Dan.
Maybe, but with this sizing, he does kind of attract some for hands like King 9 suited, Jack 10 suited, some hands, good suited hands. He is giving him a good price in position here, so I would have liked a bigger sizing or all in probably. Dan folds.
Well, either way, the sizing large enough to push Buzzkin out of that pot. So Liberto takes that one down. Now with King 5 of clubs on the button, we'll go just over the minimum. And bet with a hand that usually gets called when they're playing for chips. Under ICM, it can be closer, especially as the second to last stack with Fitzroy at 15 blinds, but he does elect to make this call. And out flops Liberto on a Queen 8-7 board. Though with Liberto having an overcard and a couple of backdoors, he may choose to go with a large sizing here that puts a lot of pressure on bet. What do you think about his sizing choice here, Darren?
Probably I would guess it's going to be a mix of a third pot and some 60%, 70% pot. He actually checks it. Interesting. You do want to check some back doors. I think with the king in your hand, I would probably lean more towards betting. Now we turn to pair here, and Liberto has an open ender. Interesting.
Now with 7.5 in the pot, bet. We'll fire 4.5 million over to Liberto, who now with an open ender to the low end of the straight has a decision. He does have an overcard and the low open ender, but it's possible he is drawing dead or drawing to a chop or has some outs counterfeited by spades. So a murky decision here for Liberto.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I would guess he's going to fold. Yeah, he folds.
A good fold, guys.
I like the fold, especially under ICM. You just really don't want to make a second best hand in a big pot, particularly with somebody a fair bit under you in chips. So I think that if they weren't at a final table, we may have seen a river and a call from Liberto, but at a final table, that pushed his decision towards the fold.
Yeah, these final tables chips are so valuable, and you really don't want to be the one calling in those types of spots. It's you want to protect your stack, and Liberto with 40 big blinds, kind of important. He holds his position.
Over to bet on the button now with Jack 7 and spades. We saw a player. Oh, I'm a little surprised that he would fold that button. But he is on a middling stack, technically fourth chip position with the short stack in the big blind, and a player who may reshove on him quite frequently. So Orson Young completes in the small, and Fitzroy will check 9-7. Darren, are you a little surprised that bet folded Jack 7 of spades on the button there?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, maybe he's worried about the short stack reshoving, but I think that's a little too snug. I think we're going to have to open the Jack 7 suited there. That is one thing sometimes people get a little confused about at final tables with the chip lead. They're trying to bully people, and he doesn't have the chip lead. But one thing is you cannot really bully the shortest stack of a final table because they're not feeling the pressure as much, and they are willing to reshove and get it in, and they're not risking that much because they're already in danger of going out next. So it's probably something along those lines going through his head.
In this blind versus blind pot, Fitzroy turned trips to the 9, but it was Orson who took the lead by betting. On this 10 river, he does give up and checks over to Fitzroy, who will value bet for 3.5 million.
That's going to be enough to win this pot, guys. We are on the Twitch stream. If you guys have any questions for these geniuses, please feel free to ask. I'll make sure we get them to them. 5 WPT championships between the two of them. Right, Tony? 5? 5 between the both of you?
It's slightly one-sided on that count, but yes.
Yes.
I think we played one together, I believe. One in Jacksonville, I think.
That's right. My first one, one of your earlier final tables, and one that was eventually taken down by a intoxicated Sean Kunix. He was having a great time. I want to say with James Calderaro also was having a great time. A cast of characters along with Will Fiella at that final table, so there was some personality to go around.
Yeah, sometimes you get three-handed and you lose to two drunk guys. You know, that's part of the game. It happens sometimes, and you just try to play your best, and that's what it is.
Now, bet opens our action with the King Queen of Diamonds on the hijack. Dan Buskin takes a flop with 6-4 hearts in the big blind, and we see an ace-3 flop.
Like
certainly a board that favors, the razor. Now, Buskin is barely connected to this board, and I don't expect he'll continue, but it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world, and he will just pass there. But I think it's more likely we would see him attempt something with like the 4-5 of hearts or the 4-5 of spades than 6-4.
Yeah, and Dan's definitely on the more solid side. I played with him a number of years. He's a great player, but definitely on the more conservative, solid side than the aggressive. Finding all these bluffs, I don't think he's gonna go nuts with the 6-4 hearts there.
I'd describe Dan as a guy who doesn't try and force it. I agree. He's a great player, and on the solid side, very capable, but just doesn't really try and force it the way some guys do.
Will he 3-bet with the deuces here? No. Okay, so this is one maybe with the chip lead. You could probably put some pressure on Liberto with a 3-bet from the small blind. Even though he's got a good hand here, you could still potentially win the pot because Liberto's got to tread carefully. Or just flop another set
back
of twos.
to back. Yeah, sets of twos for Dan Buskin on this 9-7 deuce flop that will give bet a gut shot to the 6 to go along with backdoor hearts. Liberto probably going to check back here with the 2 overcards and spades on a somewhat dynamic board, and he does elect to check, so we'll continue to a king of hearts turn that will now give bet 12 outs to a 6 or a heart.
Wouldn't mind see Dan checking here. The king hits his opponent's range pretty good here, so trying to get off the check raise is attractive. See if he can pull it off here. Liberto will not bet, but let's see if bet does. Okay.
Bet makes a bet of 3.9 million over to Dan after the fold from Liberto.
Probably 13, 14 million, I would guess. Bet probably going to have to call here with the gut shot as well. I would expect him to call in position here.
That's going to 12.2 million.
Bet does make this call, so we go to the river with 34 million in the pot, and a king on the river is exactly the card that Dan Buskin was hoping to see, minus the slight possibility that he got counterfeited by an overboat. But for the most part, if bet has a strong king, he can't escape now with so many misdraws on this river.
And can Dan find this check here where likely his opponent has a king or has a flush draw, both hands that would like to bet on the river. So is he able to find the check raise again here on the river? Would be quite the play.
Now that would have been a very savvy play, but instead Buzgan moves all in, trying to take everything bet has all at once on this river. In the event that he did hit trip kings, as we know, he just has 8 high and an easy decision there. But Darren, I like your thinking. Had he checked that river, I think he would have extracted another half of bet stack.
Yep.
And we are going to go to a short break here. When we come back, I got some questions for you, Darren. See our chip leader, Dan Buzgan, 72 big blinds with over 100 million in chips. Young, second in chips. Fitzroy Pooh on the short stack with 17 big blinds. We'll be right back.
Attention, New Jersey. There's $1 million guaranteed online main event coming up September 19th. It's the WPT Online Borgata Poker Open powered by Party Poker US Network. Satellites are running now for the $3,500 buy-in main event, which comes with all the WPT Champions Club spoils, like having your name etched on the Mike Sexton WPT Champions Cup. There's an entire festival of online events around it starting September 12th, with the main event kicking off September 19th and the live streamed final table September 21st. Check WPT.com for details.
I'm Darren Elias, 3-time WPT champion. It's cool to be a member of an elite club like that. It's always good to win a tournament, and with WPT there's some prestige to that. Good thing about WPT events is the structure. Like I like that it's a lot of them are unlimited re-entry, and I think I do well against the fields there, better than other tournaments. And they're the tournaments I play primarily on my schedule. Most of my tournaments are WPT tournaments nowadays. The win at Borgata is definitely special because it was my first, it's my home casino, and I had a lot of family there to watch, and obviously it was the most money too, so that one will always be special. I'll always remember the WPT Caribbean. I was all in with a pair of 7s against Ace Jack, I think he had, and at the time I was down a lot in chips, and I was going for back-to-back titles, which was like pretty exciting for me, and I won that key flip, and I'll always remember that moment. Honestly, for me, it's always relief. Like it's like, oh, like thank goodness I won. Like for whatever reason, that's what I feel. Like I feel pressure to win, and it's not like excitement or joy. It's just like relief. Like, oh, it's over. I won. Like that's my feeling. Poker players, when you're learning, you have to keep an open mind. And if you see a good player make a play that you don't understand, instead of dismissing it or saying, oh, he's crazy, he's rich, like stop, try to understand that play, try to understand why they did that, and even if it's over your head, at least appreciate the play and try to learn, and always allow yourself to get better.
Well, Eric Offrion in prayer mode right now. Can he dodge a king or a 9? He has done it! Wow! It's over! What a story!
Hi, I'm Eric Afriat, 2-time WPT champ. Should have been a 3rd time, but sharing is caring. I'll let the other ones carry some trophies.
It's a deuce of clubs. Close is our champion.
Mohsen Charania, and I'm a WPT champion.
Ryan Reese, I am a WPT champion.
Frank Stephenson, I'm a WPT champion.
I'm Jonathan Little, I'm a WPT champion.
My name is Tony Roberto, and I'm a WPT champion.
Matthew Wantman, I'm a WPT champion.
Scott Clements, I'm a WPT champion.
I'm Dominic Nietzsche, and I'm a WPT champion.
My name is Dietrich Fast, and I'm a WPT champion.
Larry Greenberg, I'm a WPT champion.
Dimo Kyriopoulos, I'm a WPT champion.
I'm Seth Davies, and I'm a WPT champion.
My name is Brian Altman, and I'm a WPT champion.
I'm Darren Elias, 4-time WPT champion.
This is BetMGM, where every snap is showtime. And right now, get $500 risk-free on your first bet. And the action doesn't stop there. Just fire up the BetMGM app, place your bet on any of this week's games or hundreds of other matchups, then track your bet live. This is BetMGM, where every yard is a chance to win large. Download now and use the bonus code TOUCHDOWN.
Good times at Atlantic City's best casino are now available from anywhere in New Jersey. Sign up at Borgata Casino online today and get a 100% deposit match up to $600. You'll find all of your favorite games straight from the casino floor to the palm of your hand, including live dealer, blackjack, and roulette. Plus, take your shot at New Jersey's largest progressive jackpot and earn M-Life rewards for every spin. Ready for fun? Sign up now and we'll start you off with $20 on the house. Real Borgata thrills, real Borgata style. Download the Borgata Casino app today.
People always ask me, what's the best way to learn poker? LearnWPT.com offers bite-sized lessons you can take at your own pace in the comfort of your own home.
That's right, Lynn. And once you learn some skills and want to raise the stakes to compete at the highest level, the WPT GTO trainer can give you instant analysis of your play.
So whether you're just beginning to play poker,
or you're an expert player like me,
you'll gain valuable skills and techniques at LearnWPT.com/GTO.
We are back at our five-handed final table.
So Darren, 4-time WPT champion. You have a new role here with the Party Poker US Network. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I signed with Party Poker a couple weeks ago, and I'm really excited to help promote and build the brand in the States on the US facing side. And I'm really here for these bigger events, and we're looking to do more events like this, both in Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, to kind of expand in those states as well.
What can players expect from the future from Party Poker US Network as far as that goes? Is there going to be state? Is it going to be state by state, or are they going to be able to play with multiple states? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, personally, I would love it if we could share the liquidity and combine the states. I mean, look at this tournament right now. We've got a $1 million prize pool, and this is just one state, 2%, 3% of the total market. But that comes from the government and comes from long-term lobbying stuff, and I know that takes a lot of time. So I think that's a goal. That's a goal for the longer term. But I think in the short term, we're probably going to see more of these ring fence games, Pennsylvania, Michigan, in Jersey, and we're looking to create special tournaments that kind of combine live experiences with the online events.
I think that's a great idea, and you're a perfect choice for that. Obviously, yes, we got Jacks versus Aces here, but Darren, obviously, you living here in New Jersey has to be great for you to have these kind of opportunities right here in your own backyard.
Yeah, I love being able to play from here, and hoping to have more events like this, more big events, exciting events with prestige and higher buy-ins here, as we see Liberto is going to get aces in good here. Hold up for
With
this.
one of the outs dead. So bet, all in and at risk for his 44 million. Up against the aces of Liberto. One of the jacks was folded by Orson Young, and with a 7-high board, Liberto in great shape here. Deuce on the turn, just one out in the deck for bet. It is a 7, and so bet, our 5th place finisher with the cooler.
GG. We are down to the final 4. Bet. Finishing in 5th place takes home $61,070. 4th place is $76,830. Our champion tonight will take home $195,748 and put his name on the WPT Champions Cup. I do not believe anybody at this final table is already on there, so they'll be joining you guys in the Champions Club.
And pretty even stacks for the bigger stacks here. It's not, no one's got the commanding chip lead where they can put a lot of pressure on the other two middle stacks. So will be interesting to see whoever kind of grabs the lead first is going to be in an advantage ICM wise if they can kind of put some space between first and second and third here.
Now Liberto facing the open from the button with 10-8. Deliberating out of the big blind. Does make the call. Up against the 7-5 of hearts from Orson Young. And it is a 6-4 deuce rainbow flop that will favor Orson, giving him the open ender. Justin technically in the lead, but not much hand here.
Guessing C-bet and a fold here will probably do it.
Do you have any
That is
more
right,
information
and
on
so
those live
Orson-
events, Darren, that you're talking about? That sounds interesting. I would love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm allowed to. I don't think anything's quite finalized yet, but we'll be running something in this calendar year. I think maybe November or December. Not sure which market yet, but maybe even another event in October too. We'll see.
Oh, very nice.
It's tough right now.
I'll tell
I know
you what.
everyone's eyes are focused out in Vegas, but we still have tournaments here in Jersey going online, so it's nice.
No, it's beautiful. Tell you what, if it's a round with Darren Elias, then I want to win that. Round of golf with Darren Elias.
Pays for itself, right, Matt? You can play Buzzgon, and I'll bet on.
Oh, thank you. Dan Buzz gonna scratch golfer.
Wow.
Darren just a few strokes worse than that.
Dan actually lives about 10 minutes from me in here in Jersey, and we get out once a month or so, and he gives me 20 strokes and beats me.
All right, pair now for Buzzkin. Straight draw for Liberto.
We'll see if he bets the queen high here. It's tempting to bet, but he probably doesn't get too many worse hands to fold. Once he sizes up. He does size up, so this is a little trickier.
Buzzkin with third pair. Does make this call, so Liberto looking for a jack or a queen on this river. Doesn't find it with the king, and gets a card that may be a little tough to follow through on, as it's more likely to hit Dan than Liberto after betting large on the turn.
Yeah, 100% after he pots the turn, he cannot really represent this king realistically. So I think he has to give up here.
Buzzkin, happy to check behind, and we'll find out that his tens, along with kings, are good. And so the rich get a little bit richer. Dan put some separation between Orson and Liberto. Fitzroy, with the queen 10 suited on 13 blinds, may be all in a moment here.
Yeah, and effectively the cutoff here with 13 blinds, we lets it go. I think he probably could have shoved that one if he wanted to.
Yeah, he's made a couple of snug folds at this final table, so not too surprising, but I did expect him to enter that pot.
Yeah, this 1.6 and big blind ante 1.6 again is gonna hurt him. He's gonna be down to 11 blinds here.
Buzzkin now with king 4 in the small blind, limps in. Orson with 5-4, holding a hand that typically checks in this situation, and especially with Buzzkin covering him, is even more likely to check, so he does check behind on this king jack deuce flop. It is Buzzkin who makes top pair. And a bet of 1.6 million. Leads to a quick fold from Orson. We continue.
Yeah, we were supposed to have Tom Wheaton on tonight. Tom Wheaton, known to us on the World Poker Tour for Faded Spade cards, which we use with the preferred card of the World Poker Tour. But you also know him as well, Darren, quite well. He's got a new position with BetMGM, so unfortunately he's unable to join us tonight. But tell us a little bit about Tom and what he's meant to you and your partnership.
Yeah, Tom had kind of reached out to me last year about representing me from a marketing agent standpoint. And for me, I've always been willing to do these kind of partnerships or events with Party Poker, or be it a card room, appearance, any kind of thing. But I'm pretty terrible about setting things up, following up, sending emails, calling people. Like, that kind of thing is not really my specialty. So to have someone like Tom, who's like a go-getter to go set these things up and advocate for you is amazing. So we've had a good relationship so far.
I heard you're doing quite well. I've heard you stepped it up quite a bit. That's the rumor.
Yeah, good story about Tom. He was on vacation in Italy with his wife. We had a minor meeting with a company, a FaceTime meeting, and he takes the call on one of those gondola boats with the guy in the stripes. He's like he's rafting. He's got his iPods in and he's talking business. He's on the gondola in Venice. So it'll work for you.
There you go. Always be working. That's the key.
No.
I just want to give Tom a little shout out there.
Now this flop did go check. Liberto with the
Let's put a brick
ender.
on the river here. Let's put a brick and see what these guys are about.
Buzzkin makes the call with second pair. 6 on the river, essentially a brick here. And so Liberto does unblock the hearts and unblocks, for the most part, some of the other missed draws on this board. Has a hand that should feel some temptation to bet, Darren. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think he's going to be up a lot against a lot of 8x, Jack X. Unblocking hearts is nice. So probably in the basket of hands you'd like to bluff with. Sizing wise, he can't represent too many huge hands, I don't think. So probably something around there is good. And Buzzgon's going to have a tough decision here.
Yeah, Liberto essentially representing an ace that checked out of position on the flop and now has value bet twice. Buzzgon with the jack has a tough decision. And the queen doesn't seem ideal, as it does block some of the missed hands from Liberto, in particular something like Queen 10.
Mm-hmm. He's pretty high up, I'd say, in his check back range, I would guess, with the Queen Jack. So we'll see. He usually tends, yeah, he's going to fold here. And I think played well by both of them there, I think.
Convincing bluff from Liberto does get through. We move on to our next hand, where Buzzkin starts our action with 10-7 of spades, but right behind Orson Young has pocket kings. So it's a 3-bet, just under 10 million from Orson. That will chase out Fitzroy and Liberto, and I would be surprised if Buzzkin continues in this hand with the suited 10-7.
I think he's going to be in the muck here. I was going to be curious if Fitzroy would take the Queen 8 suited on the button there, but we don't get to see here because Orson makes the loose-ish open with ace 3 off in the cutoff. Orson, I would say, more on the aggressive, creative side compared to Dan. Both good players, but played a lot of cash games in my 20s with Orson and Borgata, and usually one of the better players at the table, and one of the ones willing to put the money in and take spots and take chances. So I think you're going to see two different play styles from these two guys.
Fitzroy now,
Fitzroy's
all in
in
with
here.
ace jack. No takers. Everyone with jack rag remaining in this hand. Would not surprise me if Fitzroy does get a walk here. But no, Buzkin wants to open it up and raises a jack 3 offsuit on the button. A little surprising, and perhaps he caught wind of some of the snug folds that Fitzroy made earlier on by watching this stream, and so he is amping up his aggression.
Interesting open there, yeah. He must have some reason to do that, because definitely not a standard open, and against a guy with 12 big blinds, he should be reshoving a lot in theory, but could be a exploit if Fitzroy's playing a little too tight.
Orson now with king queen will take that pot down with a raise, and with ace deuce may do the same here. No, does elect to fold this one. So we saw the ace 3 cut off open, but not quite there with ace deuce.
Interesting.
Berto will call in the small blind with 10-7. Buzkin with queen 9 in the big blind. Elects check here. These two players about even, headed to the flop. And it is ace king 10, 2 diamonds, bottom pair, and a backdoor for Liberto. Gut shot, and the superior backdoor for Dan Buzkin.
Yeah, one of those flops, unless a guy has queen jack, neither one of you should have a big hand here when it goes limp check. So you're not going to see aces, ace king, ace 10. So Buzkin, I would have liked to bet on the flop. I think he should win this pot. Just holding that queen of diamonds is a pretty powerful card in this position.
After the check on the flop, Liberto checks once more. Perhaps Buzkin felt that with Liberto limping a strong range in the small blind, he just shows up with a lot of pair plus Broadway straight draws there, Darren.
Yeah, definitely possible. That's part of his range. I think it looks like now he's just happy taking his queen high to showdown, which is also, maybe he bets the jack 9, but not the queen 9.
Mm-hmm. Liberto now making the value bet for 3 million. Do you believe this is a little thin, Darren, or with the 5 and deuce runouts, do you think there is some value to be had with this bet?
I think it's worth betting. I'm not sure about the sizing. Did he bet 3 million to 4 million? Am I seeing that right? I think I'd prefer a smaller bet here, representing a smaller hand and then putting a 5 and a 2 to a decision. Although this bet does get a call from queen high. Interesting. So I probably would have bet as well, but maybe a little small. Yeah.
Works out for Liberto there. Now has pocket 7s on the button.
He does raise that to 3.4 million. We are now at 800,000, 1.6 million with a 200K ante. And 7s will get through.
Now Liberto here with the ace king of spades will raise into the pocket 10s of Fitzroy Pooh. So he's been waiting for a quality hand to get his money in with, and this looks like the one to do it with. And there is the all-in, and surely a quick call from Liberto. So Fitzroy Pooh all in and at risk, looking to hold. Liberto looking to improve. 8-4-4, 1 spade on the flop, so good so far for Fitzroy. 6 of clubs on the turn, no additional outs for Liberto, just needs to fade the ace or the king, and Fitzroy Pooh will double 10 on the river for a full house.
His patience was rewarded, so he will double to 22 blinds.
He had folded tens earlier, Darren, right before you got on, and Tony was a little shocked by that, but not this time.
I was. Yeah, they were about 30 blinds effective, and he opened the hijack. Buzzkin 3-bet him, and he folded tens. So I was a little surprised, since at the time I don't think there was any short stacks at the table, or maybe there was one guy at 15 blinds, but definitely a conservative strategy from Fitzroy tonight.
Yeah, usually if you open the tens in the cutoff for 30 blinds, there's going to have to be some extenuating circumstances to get me out of the pot.
Mm-hmm. Lorson now raising the ace-10 on the cutoff. Buzzkin with queen-6 of diamonds in the big blind, likely to go to a flop.
And with all these stacks so close, we see here 55 blinds, 55, 54. You're going to see a lot of conservative play with the big stacks playing against each other, where they probably won't go nuts bluffing each other or hero calling each other just because of the ICM pressure.
Orson follows through with a bet of 3.7 on 5-3-3. And while we typically see a fair bit of checking on low paired boards, I think the deuces and threes are unthreatening enough that we often see players follow through with bets on those boards.
Orson with some momentum here will probably go fold to Dan, limp, ISO call, I would guess. One of the spots where Dan does not want to hit his hand.
Right you are, Darren. Buzzkin with the limp call, holding king-8 of diamonds. Does flop a diamond flush draw on queen 6-3. Orson with a 3.5 million bet.
Be surprised if Dan does anything besides call here, and will probably be in a good position to win the pot on the river, assuming nothing changes here.
The deuce of diamonds changes a lot as Buzzkin has locked up this pot. I will say that the deuce is a card that completes both 4-5 suited and the diamond draws. So do you think Buzzkin ever leads here, or because of the ICM has to play his range as a check?
I think a lead's a good idea. It's going to be a card that Orson's going to check back a lot. So that's usually a good indicator of cards that are good to lead, one that your opponent might check back a lot. And that is an interesting river.
Very interesting river. We wondered before whether Buzzkin would check the river on a card that should improve his opponent's range. Will he check here and go for a check raise? Yes, sir. That's the plan.
He found this one. And Orson's going to have a really tough decision here. There's 19 million in the pot. Probably going to bet somewhere in 12 million range, I would guess, and face a big raise. 6. Okay, that makes it even tougher.
Now to Dan for a decision on sizing, holding the second nuts. And it is 28.8 million. The total. Back to Orson.
A tough spot for Orson, and after that small bet, you can definitely. I've seen players psych themselves out after they use a small bet and get raised, and oh, did my opponent read into my size, and that's why he raised me, and then they end up making a hero call or something like that. So we'll have to see if Orson can figure this one out.
Again, a spot where I think the priority is having a diamond blocker more than an absolute strong hand. And so Orson, with the ace king, no diamond, does make the fold there and gets away without too much damage after running into the flush of Dan Buskin, our new chip leader.
Yeah, good fold there. And most of them, Dan's going to have a lot of suited combos, a lot of flushes there when he calls pre-flop, check calls the flop. And for him to check raise the river and not have a flush, he's really got to have a queen with a diamond or a pair with a diamond that he's turning into a bluff on the river. So I think most of the time it's more likely he has the flush than the frequency with which he turns those hands into a bluff has to be low. So I think that's a good fold.
Buskin now, opening our action with queen 9 on the cutoff. Everyone behind him holding junk. It's possible Liberto peels 4-3 from the big blind, but as we talked about under ICM, the priority is making top pair hands and avoiding risk against the other bigger stacks. So Liberto does pass on the 4-3.
Darren, we had 150 satellite winners in this event. How'd you find the field? Had to be pretty good.
Oh, I thought it was great. Amazing. Anytime you play one of these isolated, like the New Jersey market, I know we had some players traveling to come in and play, but in general, very soft field, a lot of value. I thought tons of players qualified for $45 or even down to $5. So a lot of people really had a chance to play a big prestigious event for cheap, which I think is cool. And I always root for those guys that they get in on the satellites and are when it means a lot to them. It's fun to watch.
Well, your rooting didn't do me any good, I can tell you that. I was the 4th player out. I still
Matt,
got
sometimes
to take you through that hand.
Top pair. I think I saw it. I think I read it.
And what did you think?
I think you got to fold on the river when you get raised. Yeah. It's all right.
Pot developing here. Dan Buskin defending the queen 8 in the big blind against Fitzroy Pooh's button raise. Turns a pair while Fitzroy Pooh has the ace high club draw after a check flop. Intriguing king of clubs on the river, puts 2 pair on the board and does complete Fitzroy Pooh's flush. I think Buskin may shut this down as the king is still within Fitzroy Pooh's range after checking back the flop. He could perhaps be a little conservative with the 10s being paired out there, and so he does check over to Fitzroy. Checks behind with the flush.
Good check fold.
Ace high flush does take this pot.
$2.5.
1 in 2 million now. 1 in 2 million.
If you're ever still in a poker tournament and the blinds are 1 in 2 million, that is a good thing. That means you're making a lot of money usually. Queen 10.
Alberto with queen 10 suited, making it 4.2 million. Buskin folds. And
so a spot where not at a final table, not with ICM, Orson would probably 3-bet almost every time. We'll be curious. I think he'll probably 3-bet anyway here, but we'll see what he does. Yep.
And he goes quite big, up to 16 million, going with the 4x sizing. Back to Liberto, who's queen 10 suited, now in an awkward position.
For chips, like probably supposed to call. We'll see what he does with the ICM pressure.
Liberto deliberating here. 12 million more to call.
Tough because while he does do well against hands like Ace King, Ace Jack, Pocket Nines, he is good equity against those hands. He is also dominated sometimes, like we see now, by Ace Queen suited, Ace 10 suited, Kings, Aces. So takes the more conservative out there.
All right, Darren, I think we're going to say goodbye to you. We have Lucky Chewy coming in behind you, but we want to say we look forward to those fun promotions and tournaments coming up on the Party Poker US network involving you. So thank you for coming in. And
sure.
We'll
Thanks
say
for
hi to
having me,
Lucky
guys.
Chewy. You got it.
Take care, Darren.
See you, Darren. Orson Young with aces. Makes it 4.4 million.
Liberto likely to at least see a flop. Every now and then, guys will turn Ace X into a bluff here and 3-bet fold pre-flop. It's nice in a way to have a deuce because it unblocks some of the raise folds from your opponent. And look at this, Liberto does take the initiative and goes up to 16.8 million, making a big 3-bet here. And now Orson in a spot where for chips, you're often supposed to call at this chip stack. He may even elect to do that here and try and lay a little bit of a trap. Yes, he does.
Wow. Good call there, Tony.
And interesting flop, 10-9 deuce, one that should connect pretty well with Orson's flatting range in terms of having things like Queen Jack suited, King Queen suited, a little bit of Ace 10 suited. So Liberto, despite making bottom pair, may just shut it down here and hope that, oh, well, maybe Orson has something like an Ace Queen that will check down with me. It wouldn't stun me to see Liberto bet either, but I do think, and there it is, a check is most prudent here. Orson with the ace of diamonds could consider checking back. I think this is a texture he's going to end up betting a fair bit, but when you block the diamonds, it's more inviting to check behind and hope your opponent makes some kind of inferior pair that can put the money in. But Orson will bet just under 12 million.
Does that deuce complicate
Liberto,
things a little bit for Liberto?
Not so much here. I think that Liberto will likely give up on his hand. The deuce doesn't factor too strongly here. Oh, and he does call. Okay, and so things heating up going to the turn. It is a king of hearts, and I think that will be the final nail in the coffin for this hand. The king connects really well with the hands that Orson was drawing with on the flop, such as King Queen suited, King Jack suited, Queen Jack suited. And if Liberto was in an optimistic mood to believe his deuce could be good with the king on the turn, he now has to believe, okay, I'm sunk here. Orson, I believe, will continue betting. At this point, he's just hoping that maybe Liberto has something like a, ace king with a backdoor that checked the flop and elected to check call. Orson goes for the shove. And Liberto will drop out. So big pot there for Orson Young. Top 3 places pay 6 figures at this final table. So Orson drawing closer and closer to his first 6-figure score, at least one that has been tracked. Fitzroy staying snug.
I'm looking forward to hearing from Lucky Chewy, one of your partners at Learn WPT. That is the WPT's official poker training school, specializing in beginner instruction. And Chewy offered me some instruction. I never really got into it. I should have, obviously, as you guys said that I should have folded that hand. But learnwpt.com is a very good way to go for beginning players like myself.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the content we produce over at Learn. And Chewy, somebody whose game I have an immense respect for, somebody who's probably taught me more about poker than anybody else on this planet, is literally the first guy I bring my poker questions to. So having him over there makes me feel really confident about the quality of content we produce.
I sat in on one of the lessons you guys gave. I think it was at Bellagio, and it was amazing. So
thank you. Orson now will raise from the small blind with a 9-5. Fitzroy, oh my goodness, Fitzroy is playing very snug. I mean, Jack 10 as the short stack there. I guess he's pretty close with Liberto, but Jack 10 as the short stack there, essentially is always calling. I'm a little surprised at the degree of snugness we've seen out of Fitzroy, but he's done a great job of laddering so far, and he's gone, from one of the shorter stacks coming in to a top 4 payout.
That was going to be my question: is he getting value here by laddering up? It seems like he's done quite well at that.
Yeah, and that is often your priority is a short and medium stack at a final table. So there is a real argument to be made that these tight folds that he's made tonight are to his benefit. But there is certainly an inflection point where you start costing yourself money by playing too tight. And I do think that the Jack 10 fold and the pocket 10s fold that we saw earlier, and maybe even the Queen 10 suited fold as well, crossed over to that territory.
Okay. Orson using his position here and betting with the Jack 6 of spades, bet 3 million. And Liberto will get out of his way. Orson taking that pot, extending his chip lead, 62 bigs at 1 and 2 million. Is this the hand? Is this the hand here? It is.
Well, he is all in, and Liberto will take him up with the ace queen. These two very even in chips at this point, so we are going to see either one of them eliminated or on just scraps going forward. I believe it is Fitzroy who is at risk with the 5s here. Liberto does cover, who needs an ace or a queen on this river to knock Fitzroy out, and it is a queen. Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness.
6-outer delivered on the river for just Liberto. Fitzroy Pooh does ladder all the way up to 4th, but runs out of time there. And as we can see, we'll take home 76,830. Sorry to steal your lines there, Matt, but I was just mid-sentence on the hand and enjoying marveling at the suck out.
We've hit the 100K pay level, 102,932 for our third place finisher. The bronze medal, take home 102,932.
Lucky Chewy, Andrew Lichtenberger, good to see you. How you doing?
There he is.
Greetings. Thanks for having me. Wonderful to be here.
Welcome.
Well, we were just talking about Learn WPT and all the great stuff you're doing over there, and how I should have taken you up on that lesson.
Yeah, well, you could have been here, right?
I wish. I am here. I made yet another final table.
Well, there's always next time.
There's always next time. I'm definitely looking into Learn WPT. So been fast and furious from the beginning, but
yeah, the first 3 eliminations happened within 40 minutes.
Okay. And it looks like Orson was the one doing the eliminating.
Orson, Dan, and Liberto just scored an elimination with ace queen against pocket 5s. They were all in pre-flop, and he hit a queen on the river. Quite an interesting spot here now, Chewy. We have Dan Buskin limp re-raising ace deuce from the small blind. Orson with 10s in the big blind. These guys are 60 blinds deep to start this hand, and quite a spot for Orson here. How do you think he'll proceed?
Yeah, I think he should just call, because all the bluffs are going to be hands like this, where it's 1 over, 1 under. typically the offsuit aces and some of the offsuit kings are usually what you're looking at. I mean, you're just looking at kind of a super polarized range. So yeah, nice find by Orson there to just call. And assuming he doesn't get 3-outed, which he did, he would have been able to extract some more chips.
Yes, that's right. On an ace 4-3 flop, Buzzkin makes top pair and has a gut shot to the 5. So essentially a great flop for Dan Buzzkin. You know, even knowing that Orson has the 10s, kind of regardless of what Orson has here, if you're in Dan Buzzkin's shoes, you're thinking this is about as good as it gets.
Yeah, definitely. And I would guess we see a small bet here. Kind of just seems like it's safe to proceed with a small bet on most ace-high boards, particularly rainbow ones. Yeah, he's just not really going to get raised. And it's tricky for Orson. I mean, if the bluffs are mostly ace-x, then you don't really beat anything. That being said, just folding, getting, what is it, like 6-1 in position, also not very attractive.
Yeah, I certainly don't fault the flop call, but as you said, Orson has to be concerned that he is already well behind, and now with a king on the turn, you got to think that Orson is just looking to get to showdown as cheaply as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder if he ever turns his 10s into a bluff. He is kind of bottom of range at this point. I don't think he's getting here with like suited connectors. Those probably just check back versus the limp. Okay, I think once you check the turn, that's kind of the jig is up, sort of. Yeah, interesting spot. Jacks and queens are very real possibilities, it would seem. And yeah, I mean, if Buzz had like a king 5 off sort of hand, that's also in there. I don't think it's a mandatory bluff or anything, but it's a creative thought.
For sure. Well, Dan will make a value bet on this river to the tune of 17 million. Back to Orson. Getting about 5-1 here. But hard to find many hands that he can beat.
Yeah, I just can't find any, to be honest. Even if you were to have seen a queen jack type hand where Buzz is just looking to essentially just pick up chips from a bluff that had raised his limp, that's probably going to bet the turn. It's not really looking like there's anything else that's unpaired at that point.
So Orson
Buzzkin's
does
done
get
pretty
away
good here.
on
He's
the
flopped
river.
sets. Buzzkin's flopped 2 sets, and I think he's made trips 3 times, so he's done quite well, in addition to being a great player.
You know, of all the stuff that we teach at Learn WPT, I think that's the most valuable. If you flop sets, like, you will have a very prosperous career. Particularly at big final tables. I mean, this is just an unbeatable strategy.
Now, on this ace-10-6 flop, Liberto has hit bottom pair up against the king high and gut shot of Dan Buzzkin. He does call the 3.3 million as we go to a turn. 5 of spades on the turn. Well, that 5 does create some 2-pair. Yeah, I was going to say it does create some 2-pair possibilities for Liberto.
It does.
6-5. Buzzkin with king high. Likely, but not certain to check back, and he does elect to double barrel here for 11 million.
Yeah, fair enough.
And
I wonder if he feels like the 10 always just folds the turn, and then he kind of just gets to decide whether or not he wants to make it difficult for a weak ace on various rivers.
Orson now with the ace-10 of hearts raises the button. Dan with 8-4 in the big blind does make this call. And on a jack, 3 deuce flop, Orson well out in front. Chewy, are you surprised at all that Buzzkin peeled a hand as weak as 8-4 here, or with the big blind ante? Do you think he was getting the right price? Yep. Chewy actually froze there, so perhaps we will get his answer when Skype catches up. But with that bet, Orson Young does take down the pot. Liberto now on the button.
10-6.
Buzzkin with the small blind 8-7 will raise as he keeps the heat on. Orson. Buzzkin now with the solid chip lead over both these players. He is dominated going to this flop up against Orson. And both players
You don't see many
making
tournaments.
a pair.
You don't see many tournaments with 126 million in chips.
No. So a check from Buzzkin over to the top pair of Orson. Checks behind.
Welcome back, Chewy.
Thank you. Did this go limp raise call again, or did Buzz open hit the 8-7?
Buzz opened, Orson called,
Okay.
and the flop went check.
Interesting. Orson's check makes a lot of sense to me. I'm surprised Buzz opted not to c-bet.
Now it is a delayed c-bet for 8 million here on the 3 of spades turn. Orson with the pair of kings, happy to call. And a 6 on the river. Won't change too much about this texture.
I guess gonna go check, and then Orson will value bet, and Buzz will have to decide, are there enough missed spades? Oh, he's blocking. Seems thin with a kind of weak kicker 8. I wonder if Orson raises. No.
Had the same thought.
I guess there are some sixes, 6-4 suited and the like, that a 6 with spades that Orson could maybe find a call with. You wonder if he gets raised if Buzz was ready to do something really crazy. Kind of had a decent hand for it, right? Like the 7.
He did.
Not too wild. Definitely reminds me of some of my crazier days of poker. Make a thin bet with the intention of shoving over a raise. Very marginal all around.
Now 10-7, 3-2 spade flop doesn't connect to either player, and they go check in this limped pot. Ace on the turn will make Liberto top pair and lock down this pot if he doesn't fold.
Yeah, seems like Orson will probably just try to show down his king high here. No, he's stabbing. I'm always somewhat weary to stab in spots like this because not really so much the concern of the ace, but there are definitely pairs that check back the flop. And then in some ways similar to the last spot we just saw, there are a bunch of 1 spade hands that are going to call. And then you kind of have this awkward situation where your bluff catching river with a pretty weak hand. It's like the 10's a pretty good card for Orson overall. Yeah, there are a lot of just like one spade hands that Justin can have. Various combos that didn't choose to bet the flop. Maybe like 8-4 with a spade, those sorts of things.
Now 6.2 million is the bet over to Orson.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky spot. Deuce is probably a pretty good side card. Shouldn't really have too much interference. Although I guess like the wheel draws that had a single spade are present in the big blind range. The deuce 3, deuce 4. Yeah, it makes the call. It's a bit ambitious. I actually don't so much mind the river call, but I think the turn play is you're asking for a bit much out of your opponent, is my feeling.
Chewy, have you been playing a lot of poker lately?
I have been playing a lot of poker, yes. And you as well?
More hit and miss, I would say. We certainly have had a fair bit going on with the World Poker Tour. And, with the postponement of live events, there haven't been as many options. But as you know, Las Vegas remains open. And so there's been some stuff to play recently.
Yeah, I've played mostly online lately. My parents were in town visiting. I wanted to spend time with them, but I found the time to squeeze in some online sessions.
But of course.
Yeah. But yeah, I just love poker. It's very, very exciting. I love just seeing all the spots.
It's nice to be omnipotent sometimes.
Yeah, always, if possible. Interesting spot just there. Justin just takes the king high right away. And it looked, if I'm not mistaken, like he did size up a bit with the bet.
Buzzkin will complete here with 8-4 in the small blind. Orson will check king 10 in the big. These two roughly even going to the flop, which brings a jack, jack, 6, 2 spades.
Well, you missed a good tournament here, Chewy. It was very good. 150 satellite winners. Yeah.
If I was still living on the East Coast, I can assure you I would have made the trip to play. A bigger ask to get me to fly from.
Yeah. Buzzkin now with a variety of outs on this river. The 5 would give him a straight, but he also has 1 diamond and 1 spade in his hand, so he does bet here for 4.1 million. And on the river, would have the opportunity to represent a variety of hands depending on what lands, but instead Orson with king 10 will drop out, and Buzzkin will take that pot. Very even 3-handed match at this time.
Yeah, these are really dicey spots. Really knowing the ins and outs of kind of how to play this equal stack 3-handed match can be quite rewarding when you really get down to it. Okay, defends the queen 6, looks normal.
4 million will get the job done on this ace 5-3-2 heart flop. And Dan pads his lead a little bit.
That sound means we're taking a break. 3 players remain. Dan Buskin, the chip leader, with 112 million in chips. Orson Young right behind with 104, and Liberto doing just fine. 18 million. Right back. Action. WPT.
Sign up at clubwpt.com.
I'm Darren Elias, 3-time WPT champion. It's cool to be a member of an elite club like that. It's always good to win a tournament, and with WPT, there's some prestige to that. Good thing about WPT events is the structure. Like I like that it's a lot of them are unlimited re-entry, and I think I do well against the fields there, better than other tournaments. And they're the tournaments I play primarily on my schedule. Most of my tournaments are WPT tournaments nowadays. The win at Borgata is definitely special because it was my first, it's my home casino, and I had a lot of family there to watch, and obviously it was the most money too, so that one will always be special. I'll always remember the WPT Caribbean. I was all in with a pair of sevens against Ace Jack, I think he had, and at the time I was down a lot in chips, and I was going for back-to-back titles, which was like pretty exciting for me, and I won that key flip, and I'll always remember that moment. Honestly, for me, it's always relief. Like it's like, oh, like thank goodness I won. Like for whatever reason, that's what I feel. Like I feel pressure to win, and it's not like excitement or joy. It's just like relief. Like, oh, it's over. I won. Like that's my feeling. Poker players, when you're learning, you have to keep an open mind, and if you see a good player make a play that you don't understand, instead of dismissing it or saying, oh, he's crazy, he's rich, like stop, try to understand that play, try to understand why they did that, and even if it's over your head, at least appreciate the play and try to learn, and always allow yourself to get better.
Good times at Atlantic City's best casino are now available from anywhere in New Jersey. Sign up at Borgata Casino online today and get a 100% deposit match up to $600. You'll find all of your favorite games straight from the casino floor to the palm of your hand, including live dealer, blackjack, and roulette. Plus, take your shot at New Jersey's largest progressive jackpot and earn M-Life rewards for every spin. Ready for fun? Sign up now and we'll start you off with $20 on the house. Real Borgata thrills, real Borgata style. Download the Borgata Casino app today.
Hi, I'm Eric Afriat, 2-time WPT champ. Should have been a 3rd time, but sharing is caring. I'll let the other ones carry some trophies.
It's a deuce of clubs. Proceed is our champion.
Mohsen Charania, and I'm a WPT champion.
Ryan Reese, I am a WPT champion.
Frank Stepichin, I'm a WPT champion.
I'm Jonathan Little, I'm a WPT champion.
My name is Tony Roberto, and I'm a WPT champion.
Matthew Wantman, I'm a WPT champion.
Scott Clements, I'm a WPT champion.
I'm Dominic Nietzsche and I'm a WPT champion. My name is Dietrich Fast and I'm a WPT champion.
Larry Greenberg, I'm a WPT champion.
Dimo Kriopoulos, I'm a WPT champion.
I'm Seth Davies and I'm a WPT champion.
My name is Brian Altman and I'm a WPT champion.
I'm Darren Elias, 4-time WPT champion.
At BetMGM, online casino is in good hands with live blackjack and roulette, the best slots with huge jackpots, plus a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 and $25 free. BetMGM Casino.
People always ask me, what's the best way to learn poker? LearnWPT.com offers bite-sized lessons you can take at your own pace in the comfort of your own home. So check out LearnWPT.com/GTO and I'll see you at the tables.
So we are back, and we lost Lucky Chewy. We lost Lucky Chewy on that break. Joined by Sam Cariotti shortly. Sam is in our global tour management team here on the World Poker Tour.
Orson will raise Queen 10 on the button. Dan will make the call with 7-6. And flops Gin on 8-5-4-2 diamonds.
Orson
With
does
the Queen
have
of Diamonds in his hand. Exactly. He may elect to bet this flop as we welcome in Sam Cariotti. Hey, Sam, how you doing?
Hey, Tony. How you
Sam's
doing
our
tonight?
WPT
man.
Senior Director of Global Tour Management. Good to see you, Sam. Sam,
Thanks, Matt.
you've
Thanks
kind
for having
of been
me.
in charge of this event. How's it been going?
Really happy. This is the fourth event that Party Poker US Network and WPT have partnered together, and just really excited about the turnout and the value that we're bringing for the players, and just really happy to be here to see this virtual final table and us to crown a new WPT champion tonight.
Yeah, this an event like this doesn't come easy, as you know. A lot of people to thank here from our partners here at Borgata Poker.
Absolutely. And it all starts with a vision, but it can't, like you said, it can't be done alone, both on the WPT side and the BetMGM side, Party Poker US Network. So just really want to thank everyone involved with this. Tom Wheaton, Tab, Deb, Darren, Anthony, Sean. I mean, the list goes on and on. All the people who help behind the scenes who make this happen. And thank you for the players for supporting it, because we can have the vision to do this and to execute it. But whoa.
Hold on a second.
There we go.
We got a big bet. There we go. All right. Roberto wins that one with that big bet.
Yeah. But just truly, want to thank the players. Mike Sexton was always thanking the players for their support, and he was right. He used to say, without the players, there would not be the World Poker Tour, and I just echo that sentiment.
Well, thanks, Sam. It's obviously a big deal to be here in these crazy times, you know, when live tournaments aren't happening as often as we'd like. The World Poker Tour has a venue like Borgata Poker, powered by the Party Poker US Network, to get these things done. And I'm telling you, it's been a huge success. And heard from a lot of players through social media how happy they are that we were running this event.
The other thing that I'm really happy about, and if players don't know about it, just to let them know that it's not just the teamwork of WPT and Party Poker US Network, it's also Learn WPT. There's a whole program that Party Poker US Network has dedicated themselves to called For the Player, and they've partnered with Learn WPT to do that. And it just gives them access to exclusive free training to get better at the game that we all love. So just really appreciate everyone pulling together and growing this game.
I agree, Sam, wholeheartedly. Here we have a big pot developing here, I believe. Tony, The 3-bet's going in now?
Yeah, the 3-bet is definitely coming. How Orson reacts now facing this raise to 21 million is less certain. He has a hand that 4 chips, would often call here. With the ICM, I'm less certain of that, but he does make the call in position. So we go to a flop, and it is 3-3-3. A board that will favor the pre-flop 3-better, as Buzzkin, the one with the big pairs in his range. Orson likely to jam most of his big pairs pre-flop, save maybe aces and a little bit of kings that would flat the 3-bet. But Orson still has enough hand here that he may be enticed to see the turn facing this 1/5 pot bet. So he does make the call for just under 11 million. And my goodness, a 10 on the turn. Orson Young drilling the 3-outer in this huge pivotal pot. Buzzkin has hearts, and so he may be thinking, well, it's possible Orson flatted some pairs pre-flop, and I have outs to the ace and king, and that's it in a 3. Or maybe Orson mostly has ace high himself, has suited broadways. Orson elects to check behind. And a jack on the river will not help either player, but perhaps may prevent them from putting money into the pot. What does Dan Buzzkin want to do with his ace-king? Certainly plausible that Dan Buzzkin would play the big pairs this way. You will check, and now Orson with a decision to make. Likely to believe his hand is best, but the question is, can he get value from a worse hand by betting? And that's a difficult thing to discern right now. It depends whether you believe that Dan Buzzkin would 3-bet 9s and 8s pre-flop and would call a bet on this river. So Orson does go for some thin value here. He bets small, quite small here. We see a bet of about quarter pot. And it is very difficult to find many bluffs for Orson. If you are sitting in Dan Buzzkin's shoes, you got to convince yourself that Orson has something like king queen suited, and you have one of the kings in your hand. So not too surprised to see Dan get away from his ace king there. Orson with the very fortuitous 10 on the turn takes down one of the bigger pots at this final table.
Sam, now I'm going to ask you something. I know it's going to put you on the spot, and I know you're going to get mad at me about this. But if
No,
people
you
are
like,
asking,
you like putting me on the spot.
people are asking, Borgata is such a great partner of ours in the Party Poker US network as well. When can we expect Borgata to be back on the schedule of the World Poker Tour?
It's a great question. I think both parties, we'd love to do it as soon as possible. But as you know, we're still coming out of the pandemic, so there's just some hurdles that we have to clear. But know that, we're working through that. And as soon as we can, I'll be the first one that'll shout it from the rooftops.
That's awesome. Well, that's good. That's a good answer, Sam, because I know that a lot of people out here, and we're excited about it. I think the Party Poker US network is going to be a great partner for us, and will help in both aspects of actually putting people in seats and things like that. So I'm very happy with the relationship we've garnered here with the Party Poker US network.
Absolutely. It's such a strong foundation, and there's only upside to it. I'm just really excited to see where this goes, not only for us, but for the players as well.
Exactly. And Tony, I know that you've been out here in the past, so that's great.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was saying,
as you were saying,
mentioning for the the player there. Sorry, bit of lag on my end. Just wanted to go back to what I said about for the player, that if anybody's interested in that, if you do go to learnwpt.com/partypokerus, that'll take you right to the for the player campaign, and it'll get you all the information that you're looking for.
The monotone ace-5 deuce flop connects with Dan Buskin holding middle pair and the only club with the 9 of clubs. Both players check, and these boards do tend to see a lot of checking. 7 of diamonds on the turn. Liberto with just jack high could potentially take one stab at bluffing here, but does not. One more check over to Buskin. I'm less certain that Buskin will check behind now. He has to feel pretty confident his hand is good and that his redraw is likely to be live. But no, one more check. And a jack of clubs on the river will give Liberto second pair, but Buskin the club flush. And so now I would be surprised if the action was anything but a check from Liberto and a bet from Buskin. Liberto will go with the block, trying to get called by a 7 or a 5 potentially, but instead it is a flush that will look him up. And I do think that if Liberto intends to call a small bet on the river, he may actually perform better by betting himself, as I don't think that Buskin is ever going to bet an inferior pair there, but he may call an inferior pair. So Liberto value cuts himself a little bit there, but comes back the next hand raising ace-4. And we get an ace, 9-5, 2 diamond flop. Orson, second pair, top kicker. Liberto, top pair with the rag kicker. $3 million from Liberto over to Orson.
I was going to say, in these quiet moments, I just sort of envision them staring each other down virtually like they would at a live table.
That is
there may be a
painful turn card.
Stare down coming here. And I like this lead very much from Orson. When the 9 and 5 pairs on this type of texture, the big blind has a trips advantage. And so they are often incentivized to take the lead in the hand, whether they have a pair, trips, or a draw of some kind. Trips for Orson Young here. And Liberto can't really fold at this stage either, does make the call. And a king on the river will give Orson Young a full house. And not a good card for Liberto either, as now he chops with every other ace. He beats all of the missed draws, such as diamonds 6-7, 8-7, all of which he unblocks. And Orson about to lay what I trust will be a large bet out there and put Liberto in a dicey spot. And there it is. Bet's basically full pot, 25 million over to Liberto, and I would not want to be in his shoes right now. Well, yes, I would, because he's locked up 6 figures, but you know what I mean.
Are you making this call here, Tony?
Oh, man, I don't know. Against Orson, yeah, I think I am. I just give Orson a lot of credit for finding these kind of bluffs and following through with them. Your 4 of clubs unblocks all of the draws. Like if I was sitting here in Liberto's shoes with a diamond, I would fold. If I was sitting here with ace-6, ace-7, ace-8, I would fold. But this kind of hand is really quite perfect as a bluff catcher. And so I'm not surprised to see Liberto make that call. I think it's quite a reasonable one to make, and a really well played hand from Orson Young to take the lead on the turn and then size huge on the river. Well played.
Well, I have a feeling that action is going to get pretty busy. So I want to leave you guys, but I want to thank you, Tony, for doing your commentary tonight. Matt, for traveling out here, playing in the main event, and all that you've done to help this partnership grow. And lastly, I just want to thank Sharehand, who is our partner, who's helping us live stream this tonight on this beautiful final table. But I'll let the experts get back at doing what you do best. Thanks for having me for a few minutes tonight.
Thank you, Sam.
Our pleasure, Sam.
Appreciate you stopping by.
Joining us.
All right.
So now Orson up to
we lose
192. Ooh. Buzgin with his favorite hand of the night, deuces.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how he'll play this. Strictly for chips, this is a jam with pocket 2s over the button open. Under ICM, it's close. I mean, it's nice that Buzgin does cover Liberto, but the unwillingness to bust out or put yourself in a potential bust out situation does make players more cautious. Let's see what Buzgin wants to do here with deuces. And he does pass, so I'm not too shocked that he would take a couple of the weakest pairs that are supposed to be jamming there and turn them into folds.
And me, I say I've made a set of deuces twice tonight. I'm calling with deuces.
It's my lucky hand.
It's my lucky hand. And
well, a great flop for the ace jack here. Orson, not really much to go with here. I think continuing would be ambitious. So he will pass. Liberto takes that one down with top pair, top kicker. Matt, you got to save your lucky hand tendencies for the pit, or for betting NFL, and you say, hey, it's my lucky team or my lucky spread or whatever it is. But in poker, that will get expensive.
I'm going broke betting against the Raiders. I know that. That's just what's happened to me so far this year.
Well, that Monday Night Football game might have been the most entertaining football game I've ever seen. I mean, it was. I guess always the one that sticks out in my mind is the 28-3 comeback into Super Bowl. Like that was the craziest game I've ever seen. And some of the stuff that happened in that game was just so mind blowing. But that Monday Night Football game between the Ravens and the Raiders to kick off Monday Night Football for the season was a top 3 most entertaining, craziest, and in many ways a very dumb game. I mean, I saw some of the dumbest things NFL coaches could
I was at the game. I know, and I was betting on the Ravens, of course. And
yeah, I mean, I think you made a good bet. They got to get John Gruden out of there. Ugh, this guy.
They call for the kicker. He's nowhere to be found, and he runs down the field. And
it's 2nd and 9, and he's like a 50-yard field goal. I mean, you could have just run it up the gut once or twice more. It just, oh man, Savage, I can't even do it. I'm gonna like throw my headset here if I think about it too hard. Oh, these guys, how do they get these jobs? Just Liberto here with ace queen suited on the button. He'll open it up. Our blinds are up to 1.4, 2.8 million now, and Orson with king 7 in the big.
Orson makes a call.
Well, on this 6-4-3, 2 hearts flop, Orson actually has a very connected hand here with the gut shot, the 2 overcards, and the heart. Liberto, not loving this flop at all, checks back. And now with the deuce, I really think this is Orson's pot to win. He will have a major 5 advantage out of the big blind. He has a redraw to the nuts, and should the river be a heart, he could represent that as well. So I think this 4.5 million will get the job done. But if Liberto calls, I believe that Orson will get him on the river. Berto does make this call, so we'll see if my prediction comes true. There's a few rivers that maybe Orson would pull up on, but I think the vast majority he's going to follow through with a bet. And so there's 22.6 million out there. I think if he went with the big sizing with his full house in a spot where he's pretty polarized, he'll do the same thing here with his bluff, and he looks to go for the 9.2 million size. I'm a little surprised by that. I thought in his shoes, perhaps he would go big. Having the king of hearts isn't ideal, but not the end of the world. And I still think he should be bluffing here. So I like the bet. Let's see what Liberto does facing it.
This is the hero call, right, Tony?
This would be a hero call. This would be a legit hero call. Not the craziest hero call I've ever seen, but a tough one to make. The way you talk yourself into it is saying, hey, I unblock hearts. There's not that many 5s that Orson would call with in the big blind. Like, he's going to fold some of the worst 5s here. And look at this. Liberto does make the hero call. So right you are, Matt Savage. And all
Nice.
I wonder watching that hand is, what if Orson bets pot on the river? Like, does Liberto really look him up with ace high? I'm not so sure. But we'll never know. So Matt, let me ask, are you going to adopt the Las Vegas Raiders now that they're here? Or
Never,
I guess
never.
You know,
my wife has, and my wife is dancing around the house. She actually bet with me on the game. That's the bet I lost. I lost the bet to Marianne. The whole next day she was dancing around, and she was singing some goofy song that's not even the Raiders song. She's going da 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 da, da dancing around me on.
Oh, right, the one where they play late in the game. You know, I know that song.
Yeah. Yep. It was painful.
That's when you're beating down on the other team and get the crowd all amped up. Dun 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 dun. You know, it's good times.
It was good times.
Well, here, Orson, the big stack with deuces in the big blind. If I had to guess, we'll shove over this button raise. It's
and
nice.
We are at
for
1.4 million, 2.8 million. 1.4, 2.8.
It's nice for Orson here that there's some distance between Liberto and Buzgin. It makes Liberto want to fold a little bit snugger facing shoves, and so Orson does follow through with that all in. Well played hand here. Not surprisingly, Orson playing great at this final table. Applying a ton of aggression towards his opponents, but not out of control. And that deuces shove gets the job done. Now at Dan Buzgin has a pair of 10s up against 8-5 and 8-5.
He does race at 6.2 million. That should get the job done.
Orson, with this ace-7, I like the decision to open. He could consider just jamming. I mean, for chips, with a big blind ante, you're supposed to jam like ace-8 and ace-9 on the button there. So I think expanding that range to ace-7, when both players are going to have to fold some superior aces to you, is awful tempting. Two players
good
with
enough to
strong
win that
hands
pot.
in the blinds. Dan with king 10 suited. Could opt for a limp or a raise, I think. Oh, all in. That's not what I expected. Not what I expected, and I believe Orson will call. Yes, sir. And so Dan Buskin, all in and at risk, needs a 3-outer or a bunch of clubs, and that's it. Oh, my goodness. Orson Young flops the nuts and just ends it immediately. Dan Buskin comes into the final table as the chip leader. Played a really tough final table, but does come out in third place there with the king 10 running into ace 10. So well played by Dan yet again. Congrats on the score and the finish. But we're now heads up.
All right, heads up action. And Dan Buskin takes home $102,932. He was hoping for that title. I know him, and he was anxious to get on that Champions Cup, the Mike Sexton Champions Cup. But it's coming down to the heads-up match. 135,930 for second place, 195,748 for the winner. And like I said, they get to join Tony Dunst on the Mike Sexton Champions Cup. Who's going to take it? Orson with a big chip lead.
Look at this, Matt Savage. Cooler right off the bat. Ace King versus Kings. And the money's going to go in pre-flop. I mean, we could see this go from 3-1 in two hands if Orson hits the 3-outer. But a mega cooler to start off our heads-up play. Does Liberto want to go with the small 3-bet or the shove? It's going to go with the small 3-bets. I like it. It's important to be balanced and find some occasional bluffs at 20 big blinds. For the most part, people just kind of have the nuts every time they do that. I'm sure Orson is aware, but when you have ace king, it doesn't matter. So he's all in. Liberto with the snap call. And let's see if Orson can find the ace he needs to be a WPT champion. No, so far, 2 10s on the flop. 8 on the turn, so looking for an ace on the river, or our heads up will continue. 7 on the river, and so first hand of heads up, just Liberto doubles up with pocket kings.
That double up takes him to 115, just trailing by a bit now. Yeah.
Any predictions or futures bets for this NFL season?
Yes, I have 2. Under on the Raiders, which is off to a terrible
2-0
start. And under on the New York Giants.
Yeah, they stink. What was the total? Their win total 7.5 or something?
7.5, yes.
Yeah, I like that bet. That's a mess of a franchise. I think until they get Gettleman out of that front office, they will never meaningfully improve. Second pair for Liberto here. Orson checks on the flop and hits third pair on the turn to the 5.
Neither player with a diamond in their hand.
So now Orson will bet for value, but Liberto with second pair. Not going to give up. Liberto looking for a 7, 5, or 6, but a 3 on the end will not improve either player. And at this point, I think it would be a little thin for Orson to bet such a weak kicker. But there's only 5 blinds in this pot, and if you wanted to block for one big blind or whatever, that wouldn't shock me. Oh my goodness, he went big instead.
Wow.
He went. I think he turned his. Did he turn his hand into a bluff? I don't quite understand what happened there. I think he turned his hand into a bluff, but he had the third pair and the straight blocker. Liberto didn't really even think about it. I think that was too wide from Orson. And we talked earlier in this final table about Orson being a really aggressive player and the going for it type. And I think that was a little too much going for it there. maybe I'm wrong and he was value betting. That strikes me as too thin. But if I can't tell what the purpose of the bet is, it's probably not the right size. Yeah, Liberto opening things up with the Jack-5 offsuit 3-bet. I think that when he makes this play, having one of the higher cards, really, ace or king is the priority, and then after that, a queen would be preferable. But mixing in the occasional Jack X 3-bet, no fault there. Two real hands now.
King, queen, king 9. Liberto suited in diamonds. Orson with the queen of diamonds.
And Orson going with the 3-bet. Liberto is strong enough here that I think we will see a flop. In heads up poker, king 9 suited is quite a big hand. And so we do get a heads up flop. And look at this, Matt. Orson,
oh my goodness,
who has the chip lead here, gets a dreamy king 7 deuce flop. Liberto in trouble. $12 million from Orson to Liberto. Makes the call. And on such an uncoordinated board, it is going to be tough for Liberto to escape this top pair versus top pair situation he finds himself in. Orson, not much reason to slow down here. The bet is 30 million over to Liberto.
I mean, how can he get away from this hand, Tony?
I don't, in his shoes. I don't feel great about the situation, but I didn't call king 9 suited pre-flop to fold at any stage of this hand. And so now we find ourselves on the river. If anything, the king jack is mildly concerning to Orson, but not enough to make him do anything but shove for value. King jack is now improved against him, which is certainly a hand that Liberto could raise call. And if I'm in Liberto's shoes, I just call it off too. And so that is it, Matt. We have our winner, Orson Young.
Wow.
The newest WPT champion gets his name on the Mike Sexton Champions Cup. A very aggressive, talented player. No surprise to see his name get on there.
A great run for just Liberto, but one too short. And we have a champion at the WPT Online Borgata Poker, powered by the Party Poker US Network. Tony, an excellent job as always. It's a great pleasure to listen to you and players like Lucky Chewy and Darren Elias and all our guests tonight. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being a part. Orson Young puts his name on the Mike Sexton Champions Cup, takes home $195,748. Congratulations, Orson Young. Final words, Tony.
Big congrats to Orson. He played awesome. A very talented final table all around. And as always, Matt, it is a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing you in real life soon.
Yes, sir. We'll see you soon. Congratulations, Orson Young.
Take care and a good night.